It's going to be Kilson versus psygib as our next matchup. And then after this one, we have the 2 featured matches of the day. Very Maestro heavy later on. But it's all about the now, which, as I said, Kilson and psygib. Kilson, who is just forever in impeccable form, I think, Dan.
Yeah, when you look at today's matchups, with all due respect, I think this is the easiest one to call of the day. Doesn't feel like Kilson's really taken his foot off the pedal for about 2 years. Just seems to be getting better and better. I think back to the I think it was QuakeCon 2021 that he won, kind of off the back of one of the first online events we had, and it was almost a little bit unexpected to knock Rafa off his perch. And ever since then, it felt like Kilson just keeps getting better. Obviously, Wenger had a bit of a establishment in the middle there, but otherwise Kilson has been the ever-present at the top of the leaderboard and the top of the rankings at the final events as well.
You just see the existing grind that just never really stops. I've said this in the past, but I feel like when people are streaming their practice, Kilson was one of those players that was doing it a lot. It was extremely prominent last year. I can't really say the same about this year because I truthfully haven't really been watching Kilson as much. There's a lot of people streaming Quake these days, but there's a loyal following, a loyal fan base, people that just love to watch him compete, and that's what it's all about. If we're able to somehow get better than number 1, then I think I'm here for it. God, I can't talk today, apparently. Anyway, psygib.
What is going on with you, my friend? Anyway, if psygib...
I don't know, mate. I forgot to make a tea during the break.
So, yeah, all the teas for Super Soakers, sound problems, what the hell, man. psygib, look, I just feel like he hasn't progressed. Let's put it that way. I feel that he's still very good. He has the mechanics down, he has the basics down, but he lacks a real X factor about his game, and just feels that he's been at the same level probably the last 2-3 seasons, and even he's almost fortunate to have made it through to this stage, having kind of come through the relegation. So he can hold his own. He will definitely keep picking up maps, but in honesty, like, obviously, we want to see more from psygib, and he can bring it on his stage. It's a little bit inconsistent.
We'll take a look at the picks and bans anyway, see if there might be some sort of a secret weapon, perhaps. Either or is going to be Corrupted Keep first, Deep Embrace, and then the Awoken. That's something that stands out to me, is the Visor pick on Awoken for Kilson. Now, I've seen it before. Visor has been used in maps that sort of make you go, wait, really? And it has worked out for people. So hopefully, for Kilson's sake, this will be another one of those. Could be a little bit of experimentation, perhaps. I think people are always looking for extra elements to a map as common as Awoken. I think it's one of the maps that really lends itself to champions being really nice and creative on there. We just saw Clutch earlier today.
Yeah, the two picks that stand out for me is psygib taking up the Nyx, almost stealing it from Kilson, otherwise assuming it would be picked up. And yeah, the Visor as well. But the Visor is still very useful in circumstances, and under the skill set of Kilson, I think it's a little bit more impactful than it would be under other players. Obviously, the way in which Kilson plays a very stationary, positional-based game with being effective with his rail, the piercing sight becomes even more important with his utility. So that's obviously going to be really powerful. And as you say, we're definitely at that stage of the season where people are perhaps experimenting a little bit with some of their picks or their play styles. I don't think it's necessarily that. It's still a very good pick, but a little bit there. And then on the Deep Embrace, we saw the slash earlier, Maxter. It was decent. Obviously, it was a bit of a sloppy game throughout. I think it's going to be a lot cleaner on Kilson's hands, and that could make life very scary for the Nyx, as we saw when Chain picked it on Awoken. If you get on the back foot against a champion with speed and aggression and hitting their shots, your life can be pretty miserable.
Kind of looking at some of the other options that are there too, removing an Athena, that is sort of historically one of the stronger champions that we've seen psygib use. And then on the Awoken, it's the Doomslayers taken off the table as well. So it's a vastly different experience. I really do agree with what you said about the Visor too, where Visor will work quite well, but with some players of a certain caliber, Visor will significantly provide more to them because the skill that they feature just allows them to do more with it. And think that's one of the reasons I love Visor so much as a champion. But anyway, it is going to be Corrupted Keep first. I believe both of our players are readying up, actually, so we'll be jumping into this first match pretty sharpish. But I am looking forward to seeing Deep Embrace. Kilson's great with crouch sliding anyway, and he's locked in both of them. So that's just a great opportunity to just watch some fast-paced Quake, which I think everyone really enjoys. psygib, this is going to be a test. This is possibly one of the hardest challenges he's going to face in the weekly period, and I think if he can get a map here, that's an impressive building point. But realistically, I mean, I don't think I'm alone here. I think Kilson has quite a significant edge.
Yeah, I know where my points would go. Look, psygib will be competitive. I just think Kilson is a step above where he's at.
And that's gonna, well, we'll see how that's gonna unfold, because we are now loading into Corrupted Keep. We did just see this map come through with Sib versus Toxic, which was, all things considered, a bloody impressive comeback from Tox. And we were watching the replays at the end of that map, and I almost forgot just how far Tox had to climb back on a map like that. But that's what this kind of map can bring, you know, that A game,
exactly.
The snowball effect. psygib still rocking the bright yellow everything. I'm here for it. I love it. And Kilson, all right. I mean, he's the man to watch forever and always. And we'll see if he can take home a quick and easy victory here, or whether psygib is going to give him some fight.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh!
Thought he was being busted out of the area, but just crept on in.
All right, there's a bit more of that ranged back and forth to start off with. You know, the battle for the LG will always be quite prominent, especially in this kind of situation. Rockets.
Enjoying the LG skin.
I was about to say, yeah, that's quite different.
It's very 90s.
It really is, isn't it? psygib is showing immense respect to that LG, and of course you have to. With no rail on this kind of map, Kilson, that aim's going to come through in other ways, and kind of rare that you see the player that has the high ground be the one that almost appears to be at a bit of a disadvantage, but psygib.
Not got enough LG to really take a fight for the mid ground, so just has to do some damage. There he goes, perfect in fact. Work with his heavy machine gun. As we know, Kilson is just incredibly patient when he gets these solid positions in the mid space. That's why he's very difficult to break down.
And considering this is Corrupted Keep, it has not particularly been an action-packed map so far. There has been immense respect shown by psygib, but at the very least, the positions that he's been in have not been open invitations for Kilson. You know, Kilson himself has had to be extremely careful. The question is, what happens when a frag happens? That's what I wonder.
Yeah. Lots of probing, but nobody's been able to get any significant damage one way or the other. Exactly why we're seeing this continued stalemate. But again, it's very counter to what we've seen earlier today, where you can play this way. Lovely push from psygib, in fact, going through the Pika with the... Oh, that was fantastic play from the American. Comes out very low, but it doesn't matter. He does get the frag.
Oh, the mid-air! 2 mid-airs! Come on now!
psygib.
Oh, that was frag of the week for me. That was the one. And that was a very psygib kind of frag, you know. I don't like sort of just regurgitating old talking points, but with psygib, you always have to say, this guy knows how to throw down. This guy can fight. If you have to put psygib in a situation where you got to get a frag, you always bet that like he's got the tools to get the job done. It's why he was so dangerous in 2v2. It's why he was one of the top fraggers in the world in that game mode, because you could just rely on him to do that damage when he has to do it.
All in the tash, my friend. But no, I mean, always give psygib respect where it's due. His mechanical skills are on point. Can he continue this though? Amazing start so far, and as you said, the respect coming out from psygib is really, really strong. I don't want to give too much respect to let Kilson take the map away as he's just done here, because then you're reliant on making frags happen like that, which is not sustainable. Can't argue with the 2 frag lead so far.
2 frag lead. It's a rather tender lead to work with on a map like this, especially with an opponent like Kilson. But psygib, rock solid so far. Whoa! These rockets have been troublesome for Kilson so far. Can't really...
Oh, no. Oh, he's no ammo!
Oh! What on earth is going on here? Rather even Stevens on the health, but no! Kilson going up the jump pad was a big mistake and punished.
Bit of frustration from Kilson there. He manufactured an opportunity but ran out of ammo, and then, as you said, big mistake on the jump pad as psygib continues to rotate. This is it.
Oh, that trade's the best he's going to get, I think, for psygib. Really hasn't changed the situation much. They both absolutely gun it. No, but Kilson gets the LG. That's it. Unwinnable.
Best of a bad situation from Kilson, forcing the trade and then getting the better of the frag. Really fortunate there. Better of the respawn, should I say. Back to square one for psygib.
Oh, a little bit of damage, but it pales in comparison to what Kilson just dished out with that LG.
Yeah.
psygib has got himself back to a kind of okay stack. That tri-bolt unreturned damage, I mean, that's a great start for him. Mega is in play. Kilson is just going to use that for information, but there's just no stack available that's going to allow psygib to win that fight. However, he is going to understand now Mega has just been picked up. Super shotgun in hand. It's 5-minute warning. Rather significant now, you know, Kilson starting to get that momentum. psygib staying true though. Lots of armor too. So cute. Nail jump. Didn't quite pick that up because obviously we're watching Kilson, but psygib got himself up on the high ground without having to give too much information away. And the fight for the Mega with an orb in hand and a decent amount of armor. This could be a good situation for psygib, but he has to watch out for the opening damage. Nope. In fact, doesn't even want to bother with the Mega. Lets it go and just keeps the information game going. Although he has actually given up the entire map in doing so. Kilson, he knows.
Yeah. Kilson realizing psygib effectively trapped himself outside the map, decides to use that breathing space to take full control, but not only take full control, add a healthy split between the items. So this is where it can get pretty scary for psygib. Yes, he has the lead, but he has no position, no real awareness of the true timing of the items. Now he's going to try and hope to hit some incredible defensive damage, but Kilson's doing the right thing of just forcing his opponent to reposition.
Kilson has consistently, been more in control of these items so far, particularly that heavy. psygib has made it no easy task to chase him, and he has kind of managed to slip the net a little bit and take almost no damage in the process. Now, it's not really accomplishing a huge amount yet. It is wasting time, however. Oh, Kilson's just going so fast, those prediction rockets. You've got to look into a crystal ball to know when to fire. Oh!
Close to being out anyway.
Yeah, he was. He did the horizontal rocket jump to go past without getting hit, but he was going so fast from the LG connected, he almost went flying straight off the map.
psygib,
no, the shotgun didn't hit anything! No! But Kilson's still weak! What on earth was that? Kilson should be dead by all accounts. They were 2 point-blank shotgun blasts that just completely missed. psygib is going to be kicking himself for that. Oh no, and Kilson, oh, he gets the frag. What unfortunate situation for psygib.
It was so well manufactured. He's almost waiting for that Pika time and time again, and then orbing through. So it's a really clear strategy from psygib. Just didn't connect with the shotgun somehow. He's keeping himself in, and all of these fights have been executed extremely well by psygib. Oh, has to orb through that LG though, as he was caught mid-air, and that's painful to not have that now. He's also out of position here. Doesn't have anything to work with either. He does have the full set of weapons that he wants, but at the same time, he's just not in a good position.
It's an extremely close map though. psygib has been bringing it to the limit every time. There's a really good rocket. Here we go. Fight. Tri-bolt. Oh, doesn't really do anything. psygib does try and go in for a rocket jump, trying to beat Kilson to the punch, but unable to do so. Kilson, no armor to his name right now, and that is a scary situation. Orb cannot finish the job. Kilson lives.
For now, and psygib's getting the better of Kilson. Once again, he gets the jump on him from above. Just unfortunate Kilson got away up that jump pad. We're in that territory of next frag decides it. This is why we're seeing this stalemate now of trading of items. They're both more than happy to let go and make sure they're the healthy ones, trusting in their decision-making in and around the fights. But if history's anything to go by, psygib's been getting the upper hand of Kilson.
It could all be settled in this next fight though, Dan. With it being 3-3, this is a extremely low scoring map, which is not what we're used to on Corrupted Keep, especially from what we even saw just earlier throughout the day. This is a different story entirely, but with it being 20 seconds on the clock, one frag in the balance, an aggressive push from Kilson, a defensive rocket jump from psygib. Unfortunately, no damage dished out. So psygib, no! That's it.
One mistake. One mistake.
And that's it. Kilson is going to steal away map number 1. And psygib cannot let that get to him because... Oh! That wasn't the only instance that it was so close as well. I can't help now but think back to that fight where psygib listened out for the Pika. He got the perfect reaction to it. Teleported right in. All he had to do was hit one shotgun blast, and he would have taken it to 4-2. Not a single one of the shotgun blasts actually connected, and he was so close. Those two misses, you just don't think about it, do you? Normally, you're so used to just you shoot, you look, you shoot. It's just muscle memory. In that instance, that shotgun hit absolutely nothing, and it caused what should have been a comfortable lead for psygib into who knows what else.
Yeah,
I can't not look back at that. I can't not.
It was such a well-played map as well. He had a game plan. He knew he had to play cautious and careful and pretty defensive throughout. That was the nature of it. And it was just that moment of misexecution that did ultimately cost him the map, more or less. Again, credit for Kilson for being as patient as he was as well. He could have quite easily tried to force the issue and been punished by psygib. So really good restraint by Kilson. Complete understanding of when he should be pushing and not. You got to feel a little bit sorry for psygib because apart from that play, I thought he played that map pretty spectacularly. So that's a bit of a kick in the nuts for psygib, if I'm honest.
It's just a huge shame that there's no other way to describe it. I mean, especially off that rocket sequence as well with the two mid-airs. Like, that just has psygib written all over it. That kind of situation. But unfortunately, excuse me, the map did not go his way. However, there's two more opportunities. The first of which is going to be Deep Embrace. Now, you quite rightly pointed out, you know, the Nyx has been picked in here from psygib. That could be kind of a combination of things. One of the goals being able to remove the Nyx from Kilson's champion pool, because we know that Nyx tends to be Kilson's favorite champion to use. And then also psygib has a rather impressive Nyx anyway. So, going up against Slash, this is going to be an interesting matchup, because it's pure speed and ferocity on a very small map versus a champion that can really get in the way of that, but it has to work well. Otherwise, I can kind of imagine, I mean, just look at the size of the map, right? Nyx uses a ghost walk and goes down, and then for like 40, maybe 30 seconds, depending on what you can pick up, you've not got one. This map is tiny, and Slash can get around the map like that. So it's going to be punishing if things don't go well. Like, there has to be pure perfection, otherwise Kilson's running away with this.
Yeah, exactly. You can't even really try to control that high ground without it, because you're just such a sitting duck. The only two real areas of defensiveness you have is going to be either playing a very slow game in and around that heavy armor, or just playing the lower ground and skirting around, walking a lot. Either way, you have to try and find a way to slow the pace of the game, to use audio cues to your advantage, and punish, a slash. So a lot of rail utility, definitely, but a lot of concentration as well, which he had in map 1. So if he can continue that, it's possible, but it's a much harder task.
psygib. Whoa! On it with the 2-piece. Kilson. That was the highest amount of damage psygib was going to be able to put out right there. A direct rocket into a straightaway rail. And Kilson is in a tricky position. However, he is thankfully going to have that speed to disengage. And psygib struggling to hit the rails here, but it is going to be a rather hard shot to hit. I mean, God, I've been watching this through psygib's point of view. You can barely spot Kilson. He's long gone. Oh, the ambush.
No. Yeah, he has to pop it straight away. Kilson reads it as well. Big rockets from psygib, though. Okay. Okay.
These player cam reactions have been the best yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of the map we were expecting to see, though, folks. Kilson flying around all over the place. psygib reminding us why his rockets are like some of the greatest out there, in my opinion. They're just out of this world. Oh, the turnaround. Dude, they are pound for pound matching each other right now. This is some impressive stuff. And psygib showing fearlessness. You know, not afraid of what Kilson brings. Swapping out to the LG. That was surprisingly clean, actually. I rarely see Kilson get caught out in that kind of situation. Fortunate weapon choice there from psygib. Just must not have expected Kilson to just come bolting round that corner.
Saving grace at the moment is the fact that they're still willing to trade major items. So psygib continue to fall back onto that mega for now. But without this Ghost Walk, this is what we said. He has just have to play this low ground, play the rail, use the audio cues. He just cannot afford to challenge Kilson. Lovely drop from above, but poor rockets coming out from Kilson. psygib gets away, hits the rail, but not enough. Kilson gets away with 63 points of health. And a good position for a follow-up frag. Once again, the Ghost Walk comes out. Now psygib has to commit. There's nowhere else he can really go. As I say that, sorry, he does double back from the mega.
Kilson's defensive plays.
Ah!
Hang on a minute. Just stop to clear my throat. What? psygib is still weak. These fights are... Ooh! There comes another rail. And now 3 apiece again. However, psygib, significantly less weaponry to work with. The nail gun's all that's there. Now the rail. But a rail with Kilson's current stack is not going to be enough. LG is going to be so important, I think, in this kind of match. Forced to use it, but can he even escape?
It doesn't feel like a single second of this match has gone by where Ghost Walk hasn't been on cooldown. As soon as it comes off cooldown, psygib's in a fight where he has to use it again. This time he does get away with his life, but Kilson's already there to close the gap. And this is a really key point in the match catch up, because this is the first time Kilson's got momentum. There's a split between the items. There's no Ghost Walk. And psygib is vulnerable.
And Kilson just patiently waiting there, LG, just waiting for psygib to try and take it. And it really is, you know, balls in the court of Kilson. He can kind of sit on this. He can cycle around. The aggressive Ghost Walk from psygib, unfortunately, didn't really amount to much. And now there is no Ghost Walk for a long time. Kilson's going to know this. Ghost Walk's down. There's a rail.
Boy.
Oh, he's going in. You bet everything he's going in. Pushing in with a shotgun. Can't get the damage. Finally does secure it.
At that point, you've almost got to try and just do as much damage as you can. You resign yourself to dying in psygib's shoes and just say, all right, how much MG can I do here?
But there's a similar element here.
What?
Although the plasma he be chucking is significant as anything. Kilson was forced to retreat, and by being forced to retreat here, that's going to give psygib an opening. Nothing monumental, though. These items are still on cooldown. Heavy was long taken by Kilson. There's breathing space for psygib, an opportunity I think he's been long looking for. Rail doesn't hit its mark, so psygib can continue. I feel like psygib, he's going to set up shop here, because just getting this armor, it's going to be so important to getting clean frags that allow for a comeback, isn't it?
But he's doing exactly what I said he needs to do. You can see how slow he has to play around that heavy. He's just constantly using the Ghost Walk to do any sort of pressure here. It's really good. He's trusting his aim as well, and he's winning out on it. He'll get the frag, will he? No, he's got no weapons, he's got nothing to work with. All the hard work, and he has to go back to square one. But the game plan is sound. It's hard, it's the long road, but this is what he has to do.
Kilson, on the other hand, lots of different weaponry in hand and a rail. The rail in particular going to be so dangerous. psygib forced to use this tri-bolt, although to be fair, tri-bolt was doing a fair amount of work, but this is that difficult range. The range that Kilson is keeping psygib at now.
Nice!
Oh, hang on a minute!
No way!
Yes,
no
he gets it!
way! Yeah, that's a celebratory gauntlet. That was insane. He's still so low, but the amount of damage he is able to do is quite incredible. Kilson's going to come barreling on through ball. psygib gets away for now. It's just before the heavy. Good timing from Kilson. psygib needs to hit a rail here, and he's not to be. He might get this. Can he get out without doing anything?
Oh no, psygib,
low.
he's out of tri-bolt round.
But he's still not taking damage.
No, surprising stuff actually. By going to tri-bolt and the click, I was so convinced Kilson was going to find a rail right there. psygib has kept this so close and so competitive.
He's a rocket real bad though.
Oh yeah, he does. He needs tri-bolt ammo too. He really does. Tri-bolt obtained. Ooh, a little bit of self-damage there from Kilson, it looked like. Tri-bolt to make it a safer opening, and actually
Nice.
trading a ghost walk just for it.
Oh no, he didn't commit.
Oh God! Oh, I can feel every moment here.
Yeah, that's
psygib.
huge. The only plus side is if he hits unreturned damage like he's doing.
Oh!
Gotta remember, Slash is the light champion. Nothing to work with. tri-bolt just misses. What a flick!
That tri-bolt was so close to connecting, and if it did, Kilson would have been toast, but he just blitzes on past it. And that's going to create so much more work. psygib, he's kept it close and competitive, but he's forever been behind here. And that has been a problem for him. Oh, the ghost walk right as he takes damage. So now, having to trade it just to not die for a split second, but it's unlikely that Kilson's going to drop this one. Yeah. Cycles in and picks it up. Now, there is still time. There very much is still time. These are two light champions we're talking about. However, really the stars just need to align for psygib to pull this one off, I think, with the time that is left and how Kilson is approaching this, the damage he's hitting.
Yeah, you don't want to be playing from behind, because as well as psygib's doing, he's still just playing to survive at this moment in time. He's not putting any pressure on Kilson. He's not taking any items. He's keeping himself in the game very nicely, but that's all he is doing, is keeping the scoreline at the same level. Nowhere near closing the gap. Kilson's fighting his group a little bit now towards the end of the game. Go on in, adding to his scoreline, and it feels deflating at this point for psygib.
Yeah, very much so. Kilson just needs to kind of just keep doing what he's doing at this point. Cycle around, hit the damage when he can take it. psygib, at this stage, it's not even a matter of getting fragged, it's just being low enough that you got to disengage, look for an opening. All of that takes time, doesn't it? And that's not something that psygib has any of right now. But he kept it nice and competitive for a good 3/4 of this map, I have to say. Kilson, he's had to really give it 100%, and oh, okay. But at this point, just a bonus situation, perhaps.
100%. It was closer than I expected to, but it also did play out as we did discuss in the beginning. What was really interesting though is just how effective psygib was when he had those openings, and how creative he was with that ghost walk. I think the big turning point came when very nice. He ghost walked over to that heavy and couldn't commit for it. Allowed Kilson a big opening to get a frag and extend the lead, but all credit to psygib to keep him as in it and as competitive as that was.
A few little bonus frags here, just for good measure, almost. But there has been another good showing here from Kilson. Kilson was already 1-0 up. This is now going to make it 2-0. I still think back at that corrupted keep, and I feel like how close it was to being in psygib's favor instead. And And with another one here where there were absolute moments of greatness for psygib. Not enough to ultimately pull this one forward, but he's been bringing it to Kilson. Kilson's been having to really concentrate and make sure this doesn't slip through his fingers. It is a 2-0, but it is significantly closer in these maps than I think both of us expected. We'll see if that continues, though, for our final and third one.
So this is the psygib we have seen. It's just not the psygib we see every week, it feels like. You know, there'll be matchups where, not so much this season, since I think the league is a lot more competitive, but particularly previous seasons, where it would go in and you go, this should be pretty easy for psygib, but it would end up being a 2-1 loss potentially. And he was ending up the bottom of the leaderboard, which is not where he should be. When he plays like this, he's incredibly difficult to beat. I remember him beating Rafa a couple of seasons ago, and it was almost a bit of a huge upset at that time. It just doesn't feel like that progression's happened. So if this is the psygib we'll see week in, week out, that's a really good thing.
And it's a better time to do it now, as the season is young.
Mm-hmm.
This is only week 4, so if you're in this kind of shape now, and we can't forget, this is Kilson we're talking about. psygib is playing this well and making it this competitive. He's going up against like number 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's going up against the guy. And if it's this close, keeping consistency is what I think all of us want to see. Because if psygib can play like this in future weeks against the other opponents, who knows how far psygib could go this year? If you're doing it to Kilson, and Kilson is the way he is right now, that is a wonderful building point. And now, right, this is where I have been the most intrigued, because we get to see Visor again on a smaller, less common map that you would see the champion pick. Now, I have seen Visor on this map before. We have seen it, but it's not common. And Kilson kind of went out of his way to pick this. So very curious to see what he has up his sleeve.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it. Maybe not so much in the QPL, but definitely in practice from a few players.
Yeah.
I've seen Razy, Wenger, I think even Sirius playing this in practice on this map. So we know what it brings. Kilson manages to get that control as he often does, sets up in that T-junction up above the Mega. Really difficult to dislodge. Using that piercing sight, using that rail, can make psygib's life a living hell. Now, psygib's been great on the defense so far, but part of his X factor in these 2 games, in my opinion, has just been how well he's been able to play his champion. Map 1, it was all about the orb, using the passive as well. Obviously, the overall game was good, but those 2 things really stood out to me. And similarly on the last map, the way in which he was using the Ghost Walk consistently was really powerful for him. Now, he doesn't have that same level of higher skill ceiling, if you will, with the k1llsen. It's consistent, so he just has to play a better game of duel than Kilson, and that's the real challenge now, is that how is he going to use his just general skill set to dislodge Kilson?
I feel like the extension of that comes down to the opposing champion. You know, you look at a map like this, which is so small, and if you're the one that's fully in charge, you're just keeping the opponent on the end of a string, because it's so hard for them to hide from you. You know, you have to really go out of your way to walk around and try not to give any audio away as to where you are. While Visor just provides this almost like mastermind experience where you see everything. And it's such a small map, you hear almost everything as well. And if you're Kilson, you can hit everything. So this is going to be a challenge. I feel like this is going to be a challenge for psygib. Piercing sight straight away. Just activates that extra information. Now Kilson, that first stage always built around just getting the equipment. You need those rails, and right now psygib has a good start because he knows his opponent doesn't have one. Ooh.
Oops.
I know, yes indeed. He is going to be able to go and take this heavy, so it's not the end of the world, but I think psygib, Operation Keep Kilson Away from Rail begins.
Yeah, well, he's already failed that. So
he had to prioritize something else. Did he have a rocket? Maybe he didn't have a rocket at the time or something.
Either way, he was running low on ammo, so he went back to get that. Giving Kilson the T-junction where he said he's going to be.
Oh, and he surprises psygib. At opening rail and now no armor. It's suicide to drop down and take this heavy, so psygib has no choice but to forego it. However, he is so weak, and Kilson has so much of the map. He's going to take that frag first. psygib, oh, you're done. He only had a starting machine gun, and if Kilson has you and he hits you with the opening rail, you're dead. You're doing nothing to take that one away. Now there's that piercing sight once more.
Yeah, psygib hears it, waits it out.
Gives him a little dance, just for good measure.
Kilson's going to try and bait this, I guess. Is psygib going to fall for it? Ah, he gets spotted. And here he comes. He's only got a rail to work with. Kilson knows it. That's all he needs, apparently. Back-to-back rails, one through the gap right there. Psygib's running stuff away.
Oh, there's a rail. Piercing sight is ready for Kilson. And the time is going to be now to pull. Understanding that there's a...
wow.
Yeah, it was just understanding that this heavy is likely going to go to psygib, but at the very least I can use this piercing sight to just nullify it and just remove it the second you have it. And there's a rail again. Kilson secures. And this extra information just looks almost unfair, Dan. As Kilson just, he knows everything.
Exactly, and as we discussed, without the X factor of an ability to fall back on, it's a lot more difficult to make these incredibly crazy plays. You have to just outplay your opponent. At the moment he's not doing it, these rail trades are just going solely in Kilson's favor. And as you said, when you have the piercing sight, it just adds another layer of difficulty to rail against your opponent.
That's certainly not the first time that Kilson has used the piercing sight when an item is about to be taken. That's now 2 for 2. He's done it once on the heavy, once on the mega, and the piercing sight during that has just allowed him to maximize his damage.
Oh no!
Oh, they trade! Who spawns where? Kilson. Spawning actually further away from the mega, so that is going to allow a pickup by psygib. But yeah, my point was that 2 out of 2 times when psygib has collected one of these major items and Kilson's had that extra information, he's nullified it immediately. It's like, Kilson's got a decent stack anyway, he can remove it, and there you go. We're back to square one, and he looks a lot more confident. Springs the trap with the opening LG, and the tri-bolt as well certainly doesn't tickle. There's that rail, though, from psygib, so that's a great start. Tri-bolt's all Kilson has to compete with a rail angle so far, but I do wonder if he's going to be able to lock in a rail at some point.
Well, I guess the question is as well, he hasn't seen a totem all map pretty much. He must know something's awry here, and the question is, will he go out of his way to find them? Because the last 2 frags have been a large part of just having that overstack up. So we said there isn't a big X factor. Well, slightly wrong, because having a much bigger stack is definitely a boon. So, well played to keep that ticking along.
Kilson lands on that totem. A little bit of extra damage. psygib, the ability to fall back on it comfortably, because we still do have 2 of the 3 totems in play. And the next goal is that heavy once more. Kilson does not have a piercing sight, so he has to do it the old-fashioned Kilson way, which is just listen.
Yeah.
psygib is not making it easy at all. Ooh. Okay, there's some stack here. psygib. It's an interesting situation to be in, Dan, because although psygib has really set up a fortress in that corner of this map, Kilson is still the one in the lead.
But Kilson's also being prevented from getting a rail. So he can't really do anything. Yeah, he can run the map, which is important. But at the same time, he can't pressure psygib. As I say that, that's how you pressure him, is you just barrel on through with the rocket jump.
But he missed the totems, that's the problem.
He did. He got a rail though, so he got part of his objective. And now he can challenge his opponent.
psygib. Oh, never mind. psygib's all the way back up to healthy.
Yeah, well, Kilson definitely heard the totems being used. I mean, he already knows where they are. It's just he hasn't had an opportunity to clear them out just yet.
Oh, that looks like the opportunity could be now, Dan.
Yeah,
yes,
now,
it will.
Now it is. Instantly. You don't even need to look. He knows exactly where they are. And Oh, that's painful. They're all gone.
That really was. It feels like that was psygib's best opportunity to come back. And now piercing sight. It has not just been for the common use.
Oh,
See you later. Off you go.
Angry Kilson.
Oh yeah, I saw the shake. That room shook. I'll tell you what, the piercing sight has been used wonderfully for rocket placement too. And that's not something that we so commonly see with Visor. Normally it's the most obvious application being the rail, the LG traps that can be set. On a map like this though, it's given Kilson some absolutely amazing opening rockets. And it has just spelled disaster for the rest of the fight. However, psygib only 2 frags behind. And once again, Dan, psygib, he's just knocking on the door, right? He's right there. Oh.
He has this incredible way in this series of just doing immense amount of damage when he shouldn't do. Every time Kilson pushes in very healthily, he comes out either dying or this tail between his legs. So a lot of respect has to go out there for the way psygib's defending. And yes, he's burrowed in this game, kept it respectable so far. But again, it's this balance where it's just staying in the game. The minute, he doesn't look like he's got a recipe for how to push an advantage.
And Kilson has felt no pressure whatsoever to make chase.
Yeah.
I mean, why? Why does he need to? He has 3 frags ahead of psygib. He has more information than psygib does. And by having more of the map, he's going to have more weaponry, more ammunition. There is no rush.
Oh, this is clever. So clever.
Opening rockets! This is what I'm talking about. The piercing sight combined with rocket placement is absolutely wonderful stuff.
Yeah, Rise has been great. He's over-doubling psygib's item pickup, which is exactly why he doesn't feel any pressure. And he can effectively take these fights with a 2-to-1 damage ratio and still come out on top. He's just got that much of a stack advantage. The saving grace, as we talked about, was the Totem Fortress. But since that's been removed, psygib has been more and more vulnerable.
Now the shoe's on the other foot. Kilson's the one that's controlling the rail room. psygib just says, hello, can I have a rail, please? Kilson says no. They are all mine. And now the map will be cemented. I mean, there is no time for psygib to make enough happen to bring this one back, resulting in a 3-0 for Kilson. Now, thing is, if you look at the results without seeing the matches, I think you'd look at 3-0 and think, yeah, I mean, to be fair, that does make sense. But with how these maps went, psygib really brought it to Kilson here. It wasn't enough to get the map wins, but there were so many moments that were so close to going either way. And that, on its own, again! But we trade now.
Yeah, oh, again. You gotta love it.
I mean, was that 4v1s, etc., etc.?
Yeah, it's all worth it for that chuckle from psygib. But no, I agree. Like, I expected it to be 3-0. I did not expect this level of performance from psygib. And it was large periods of it where he should have been beaten by a large amount, and he kept himself in it. Now, if he could take that another level, transforming that defensive pressure into some sort of control and aggression, he could begin to take maps away from the likes of Kilson. And that's the next step for him. But he's definitely playing a hell of a lot better than he had done in the previous season so far.
I mean, I don't... Now, I mean, like, I don't know, like, psygib's training or practice or anything like that, but it kind of looked a lot like psygib had at least, like, practiced and prepared for this matchup.
I would hope so.
No, but
look,
what I'm saying though is you're going up against Kilson in particular, so it just felt like there was a level of I don't mean like, you know, oh yeah, I hope he'd been playing the game. I mean like he was ready for
He's
Kilson.
open Quake Champions.
Yeah. He's open Quake Champions. But no, he looked ready for Kilson in particular. He didn't at any point look uncomfortable against that style of play, because Kilson is a rather unique player. There's very few that play like him, and psygib looked prepared for that play style.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, at the end of the day, as great as Kilson is, you also know how he's going to play. Now, the question is, can you counter that? Mostly the answer is going to be no. psygib, all the praise we've given him, he had a strategy to counter it on the defense. What he didn't have clearly is a strategy on how to win. And I know that sounds weird. He was able to very effectively contain the pressure and try and spin it on his head. But at no point beyond the early stages of map 1 did I ever really see him go and try and dominate Kilson. And Kilson, for his credit as well, didn't give him that opportunity. But it was really hard for psygib to ever feel like he was comfortable in this series at all beyond the opening of map 1. He was always on that back foot. And he did incredibly well on that back foot, which is why the scorelines are very, very close. But like, to become almost champion material, which is to beat Kilson, right? He then has to then take that step further and put Kilson under the same level of pressure.
Well, the day is young when it comes to this latest season of Quake Pro League, and there's a lot more weeks to go, so perhaps this is the beginning of seeing that development from psygib. We've always recognized him as being a phenomenal player, but it's kind of, as you said, you kind of feel like psygib has been at a set level for quite a while everyone else is starting to really ascend. I mean, Kilson's like a standout example of that. He just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. But today, a different story. Like, Kilson did bring some good stuff to the table, though. I think we're going to be seeing a little bit more potential with Visor on Awoken. There was just something about the rocket placement, even in that final frag or one of the last frags that we saw. Really interesting stuff. And I love that this game has been out for as long as it has been, and we're still seeing people try just different combinations. And it's starting to work, right? I love experimentation. That's what this kind of game is all about. Anyway, that was the final of the regular matches. And now it's time for the 2 featured matchups of the stream. We're going to bring in the one and only DJ Wheat. We're going to prepare. We're going to have a quick break. And when we come back, the Maestro Gauntlet at this point begins. See you in a bit.